Colleen and the Leprechaun, written by Ellen Forrest, illustrated by David Crocker. Focus question: how can stories of place help us to better understand the culture of the people who live there? Words to know: Celtic, leprechaun, dandelion, mysteriously, hetero, suspicion, legend, treasure. Table of contents: Colleen goes to Ireland. Jack Fox and the Leprechaun. Colleen goes to Ireland. Colleen is so excited. She had never been to Ireland before. She had never even been on an airplane. Now she was here, landing in Dublin, Ireland's capital city. Colleen and her parents were visiting her grandparents. She had never met them in person. She had only talked to them on the phone and seen them in family pictures. As Colleen walked out of the airport, two strangers grabbed her and started hugging her. After a few seconds, she realized they were her grandparents. Colleen watched out the car window as the family drove by some fields. Her grandpa said mysteriously, "Colleen, be sure to keep an eye out for the little people." "Little people?" questioned Colleen. "Who are the little people?" "The little people are the fairies," said Grandma as she drove. "Tales of the fairies go back to Celtic times in Ireland and Scotland. We have many legends and stories to tell about fairies. Fairies and the world." "Yes, we do," said Grandpa. "There are many kinds of fairies. A leprechaun is one kind. He looks like a small old man. He is not friendly, lives alone, and spends most of his time making shoes." Colleen had heard about leprechauns before. "One of the great things about leprechauns," continued Grandma, "is that each one keeps a pot of gold. You find a leprechaun, don't take your eyes off him," Grandpa warned. Legend says that if you keep your eyes on him, the leprechaun will have to take you to his treasure, Grandma continued. "A long, long time ago," Grandpa said, "a man named Jack Fox found out that leprechauns could be tricky fellows." "Tell me about Jack Fox," said Colleen. Grandpa began to tell the story. Jack Fox and the Leprechaun. Jack Fox was walking along the road when he heard a sound in the hedgerow. He had a suspicion about what the noise might be and started to be very excited. He peeked over the hedge and saw that his suspicion was true. There was a little man wearing a leather apron and a pointed hat. He was using a tiny hammer the size of a pin to shape a tiny golden shoe. Jack knew at once that he had found a leprechaun. Jack crept close to the leprechaun and said good morning to him. The leprechaun smiled, said hello, and offered Jack a drink of water. "Just hand me that bottle," the leprechaun said, hoping Jack would look away. But Jack just stared straight at the leprechaun and said, "No, thank you." They talked for a while. The leprechaun tried many ways to trick Jack into looking away. But Jack wasn't fooled. Jack demanded that the leprechaun take him to a pot of gold. Finally, the leprechaun gave up trying to trick Jack and took him to a field of dandelions. He showed Jack the flower that the treasure was buried under, but Jack did not have a shovel. Jack used one of his socks to cover the dandelion and mark the spot. Then Jack went home to get a shovel. When Jack came back, every dandelion in the field had a sock on it. He never did find the sock that marked the buried pot of gold. Jack carried the socks home and told his wife what happened. She said that at least he would not need new socks for a while. Then they both started laughing. Colleen and her parents started laughing too. "Imagine a field full of socks!" exclaimed Colleen. "What a funny story!" Colleen could see that she was going to like learning about Ireland from her grandparents. This would be a great visit. Glossary: Celtic, relating to ancient Irish, Scottish, Welsh people. Dandelion, a yellow flower plant with a white fluffy seed head. Hedgerow, a wall-like row of bushes or plants. Legend, old stories that may not be true but continue to be told. Leprechaun, a kind of fairy from Celtic legend. Mysteriously, in a strange manner that causes wonder or curiosity. Suspicion, a belief or idea about something. Treasure, valuable objects like money and jewels.
Good job.
What is a legend? An old story. What did the leprechaun do when he put a sock on each dandelion? He tricked Jack. Which of the following traits does not describe leprechauns? Friendly. How did Jack feel when he saw the leprechaun? Happy. What is the setting for the story? Ireland. Why didn't Jack find a buried pot of gold? Every dandelion had a sock on it. What did the leprechaun do after Jack went home to get a shovel? He put socks on all the dandelions. What did Colleen do after she heard the story about the leprechaun? She started to laugh. Why do you think Colleen will like learning about Ireland? She wants to hear more stories about leprechauns. Why was Colleen so excited at the beginning of the story? She was concerned. All the above. How can stories of a place help us better understand the culture of the people who live